All right, so Tom, what are you doing these days?
So I was working at Newegg for quite some time. Had a blast while I was here, I really did. But I had some esports opportunities that I wanted to get back into, a lot of that having to do with Halo. And there was a huge announcement of the Halo World Championships. It was a $5 million tournament. And I had won a lot of different Halo games and different Halo titles. And I've always wanted to win a major national tournament for every single game. So once Halo 5 came out, I had to go for it. And I wanted to win X Games gold medal, get $100 million or $1 million. Obviously, that would have been $300,000 in my pocket. So as much as I loved, working at Newegg, I had to follow up on that opportunity. Unfortunately, it didn't work out in my favor, but I had an opportunity and got approached by ESL to go and cast and host the actual pro league that I was trying to qualify in. So I was very humbled by that, and it's been a really, really fun ride. We had a major tournament that happened, and it was the 2016 HCS Fall Finals. There was 40,000 people watching live when we peaked.
And you're still also affiliated with the Straight Rippin' team.
Yes.
What's your role as far as that goes?
So instead of playing on the team that I was competing on for a really long time, since 2005, instead I decided that I would take more of an ownership role, and I brought a couple of people on board as well to help me with that, and it's just been amazing, the amount of fan support and just everybody involved. It's been just really overwhelming, really. It's been great.
So you are retired as far as competitive gaming play goes, right?
Correct.
So are you too old for esports?
No, not at all. I don't think that I'm too old for esports. I think that there's just too many opportunities out there right now for me to turn down, and I feel like I can influence esports more by not playing right now. And playing is definitely stressful. There is a point in time where you do have to step back when you've been doing it for so long and spend some more time with your loved ones and your family, and kind of get your personal life together, because you're just working and grinding so much that you really lose track of time. It really is. It's almost like I compare it to when you're in Vegas and you're gambling and you realize they don't have any windows or any clocks, and that's kind of how gaming is. You're trapped into a really long gaming session. You want to be the best in the world at something. You're putting in a ridiculous amount of hours. I mean, playing 8 to 10, 12, 14 hours a day sometimes, thinking about it, studying about it, dreaming about it. These people, the pro players, I have so much respect for them, because I know just how difficult it really is. And it's all fun and games. It really is. You're playing and doing what you love, but when there's so many people nowadays trying to do it, you have to really take it seriously and make sure that you're outworking everybody, so you don't feel bad come tournament time.
Yeah, that's actually a really interesting point. And I mean, you are very well connected in the esports scene. I'm sure you know plenty of players that have retired or maybe are considering it. Do you think that what you described is the most common reason? Like it's an emotional kind of thing?
Yeah, it's a handful of things. Some of the things is when a new game comes out, say like Halo 5, for example, there was a couple of players that didn't maybe like the game. And one of the beauties is that when stuff like that happens, recently now the developers are actually taking note of that and asking these guys, hey, what didn't you like about the game? How could we potentially fix this game? And a major update came out for Halo 5 not too long ago, and we're seeing a really great amount of people coming back and saying that they love playing the game. And I really feel like that contributed to the amount of viewership that we had. The update came out probably 2 or 3 days before the tournament, and again, 40,000 people ended up watching that tournament. That's where it peaked at live. And then I think the summer finals peaked at about 25,000, so that's a 15,000 increase in concurrent viewers, and that's great.
So you would think that Halo 5 is pretty healthy as an esport?
It's becoming more and more healthy, for sure. I feel like it was a rebuilding process with not many Halo 4 tournaments coming out. Right after Halo Reach, between 2012 and 2014-15 was a really hard time. Now the HCS, the Halo Championship Series, I believe it's still kind of in its infancy. It's in the second year now, moving on to the third year. And they've made some great strides. Obviously the X Games, Aspen, happened for Halo this year in 2016. Then 2017, they've already released $1 million tournament. And the great thing is there's 343 Industries, right, which is obviously huge. They're the developer of Halo 5, and they have a pro team just set towards esports, and they're very involved in esports. They have plenty of people, plenty of hands on deck at the actual tournaments. They're constantly taking in feedback, and that's something that we didn't have before, is that developer support, and that goes a long way.
Earlier we were talking a bit about as far as esports goes, Overwatch is one of the huge stories of the year.
Yes.
And we've written a lot about it on Game Crate about the differences between console and PC and the balancing that they have to do for the different platforms. So what are your thoughts on Overwatch and just in general, PC versus console esports?
I love Overwatch, first and foremost, let me say that. I love the game for what it is. I think that it's an amazing game that can be played by yourself or with friends. And I picked it up and realized that in order to play this game at the highest level, it had to be played on PC, obviously. I mean, we're at Newegg facilities right now. We know that the hardcore audience is PC gamers. Why is that? It's because the graphics are a lot better, but just your experience with the mouse and keyboard, it's more immersive than it is with a controller. And Overwatch really opened my eyes to just the wide variety of mechanics that you can necessarily have, and the skill gap that you necessarily can have, and how you can be a little bit limited on a console. And then for me, realizing obviously, oh, what are the tournaments going to be held on? They're not going to be held on console. They're definitely going to be held on PC. There's much more just money in that area for sponsorships as well. So it's just a no-brainer that you'd want a company like, for example, maybe Intel to get involved, and Microsoft most likely not going to put up money towards Overwatch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so who's your favorite character in Overwatch?
Ooh, it varies. I mean, Soldier 76, obviously. I dressed up as McCree for Halloween, so that was fun. My McCree's not that good. I think that's maybe why I dressed up as him, so I could possibly get better. But Farah is usually my go-to. I'm definitely much more, I play some Reinhardt and things like that. I like to fill based on what I'm doing. Sometimes I go with Symmetra and some of the capture point maps where I feel like I can kind of cheese a little bit, or on the defense strategies where I could cheese a little bit. But I'm looking to primarily either, if I'm feeling very confident, pick a hero that's an offensive hero, like a Pharah or something like that, or I kind of just sit back, and if I want to play something else, I just wait for everybody else to pick. But I'm big on like the whole team morale and stuff like that, but I may be one of the first people to be like, why didn't you go there? Or, why are you still playing this hero?
Do you do a lot of that? Do you do a lot of telling people what they should be doing and offering advice in the chat?
Sometimes if I think something's completely, just if someone's playing Torbjorn on offense or something, I'm like, hey, please, Torbjorn on offense, ? Really? But I like to have fun. Ever since I did step back from playing, I'm still very competitive, and when I play, I always play ranked. I play social with my friends and stuff like that, but I'm always constantly trying to move up in the ranks, so I am, always trying to shot call and do these little things. But more or less, I am trying to relay information. Like, I'm the first person to be like, hey, there's a Genji behind us, or something like that. I try to just provide useful information to teammates.
And I just want to say to everybody out there, if you are playing Overwatch and you hear somebody on voice chat that sounds like Tom giving you advice, you might want to listen.
Or we can just troll each other. Either way, I'm fine. It's all fun and games.
Yeah, or you can just celebrate when you kill it.
You mentioned basketball before, and then before the interview, we were talking a bit about your casting career and what you think makes a good caster. So would you say that you can learn a lot if you want to be a caster, or if you are a caster and you want to get better, from watching people that broadcast traditional sports?
Yes, 1,000%. Watching traditional sports, because they've been doing it for a really long time. They have a format that works. They're very well spoken. They understand the game very well, and also they teeter the line of entertainment and developing interesting stories, and realizing that not everyone can necessarily say the same thing or have the same predictions and things like that. I mean, just for the sake of it all the time, it's like, for example, my co-host Kyle on the HCS Elamite, he'll be like, I'm taking this team. I'll be like, well, I got to take this team then instead. But I'm just been a huge sports fan, been a huge esports fan for a really long time, and yeah, they are two completely different things, but in terms of the actual production, there's still so much room for improvement for esports in general, and I do feel like that following some traditional sports mixed with some in-game editing and cool things that you can do. And one of the other things, to kind of go off track here, is the amount of people that are involved in the esports community that are insanely skilled at video editing and graphics. I really feel like that there's a huge space for people to kind of get involved with team organizations, or just developers or esports, just based on that alone, or people that are great at even doing things like running social media and stuff like that. There's tons of other jobs and opportunities in esports that are there, even if you're not necessarily a pro gamer as well.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's a hugely growing industry, a lot of money flowing into it.
Yeah, and even if you want to be a caster or anything like that, you don't necessarily have to be a pro player. I mean, Halo is one of the only games out there, if not the only game, that all of the casters and hosts are former pro players. But we have someone like, for example, Sims, who is over from the EU scene, and he's one of the best casters out there as well. So there's so many different ways to get involved with esports. So don't be intimidated if you're watching this and you may not be the best player.
Last question. I know we got a long drive back to Vegas.
Yes.
What is your personal game of the year?
I gotta say Overwatch. I know that it got Game of the Year from, what was it, the video game, or was that what Jeff Knightley, I believe his name is, that they held, and I think that for me it is so well-rounded. I know there's some question if they stole ideas from other games or whatever, but no idea is necessarily original. They did a really fantastic job with that game, honestly. To me, it is, I want to say a 9.5 out of 10. I'd give it a 9. What'd you guys give it?
I feel like I gave it a 9, maybe an 8.5. Okay. I said at launch that it's really highly polished, but it was a little bit limited in scope. But since launch, they've addressed those things, right? With the weekly updates, with the new heroes.
It's definitely a 9 in my eyes,
Yeah,
at least.
yeah.
I'm giving 9.5 because I may be a little bit biased, but
I mean, every review is your personal opinion.
yeah, that's true, right. But to me, the thing that brought Overwatch joy was the fact that I could play it with anybody, to me. And that, again, every character was pretty difficult to play, but yet you found one for your playstyle, and maybe that even had some deeper level of maybe that's part of your personality or something like that too.
All right, Tom, thanks very much for
Yes, thank you.
stopping by. Good to see you again, and I'm sure we'll have more from you in the future.